Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Monday, August 4th, and we are so glad to be back with you on the eve of launching our Circle community.
Hooray!
We've been working hard all last week, all this past weekend, and I am excited to report that your invitation, if you are currently a member of the Rise Up Discord community, if you are a premium member, your invitation will be coming out today. Everybody else, we're going to open the community for you tomorrow. It's going to be a great thing for all of us. A new era of Rise Up is before us, and we will have on the show tomorrow a little tutorial, a little looky-loo about how you can access all the benefits of our community going forward. If you're an existing member and you get an invite link today, we're going to send them out by email to the OG premiums. We're going to send them to the lounge, to the current premium members. We're going to send them in an announcement in Discord, probably make a little video about it. Anywhere you live, you'll be able to find it, and we will spend the rest of the next week making sure everybody gets over there. If you're listening to my voice in podcast land, just bookmark this moment, come back tomorrow, or check tomorrow's show. We're going to have a link in the description that you can use to join the community. And once you get there, there will be a handy dandy onboarding flow and tutorial too, so that you, yes, you can start using Circle to get connected with all of the resources that we offer at the Rise Up Morning Show, where you are the very best part of what we do. Did you guys have a good weekend?
I did. It was a busy weekend. And I had 3 different friend groups I was hanging out with Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday went to farmers market / art and crafts market and explored another part of the city I hadn't really explored much. And then I ran into other people I knew. And then my body just collapsed at 4:30. And I just went home and laid down and fell asleep.
Nice.
But it was a very good, very productive weekend. Many drinks were had, much merriment. Did level 99 in Natick, which is the greatest. It's like if Dave and Buster's was actually really fun. Because
Natick?
In Natick, Massachusetts. It is a building with basically 99 escape rooms, right? Except the 99 escape rooms are physical and puzzle challenges that you're really only in for maybe 1 to 3 minutes. One room you can open up and it'll be like a ropes course. And if you touch the floor, you're done. Another one will be, you all have you're shoveling dirt and trying to get dirt at the end of this long line of 12 shovels to complete the puzzle. Or there'll be riddles, or you'll walk in and all of a sudden the room will start spinning underneath your feet and you have to start climbing up and stuff. It's a ton of fun. I always get hurt, and I did get hurt, but it was great. And I had a fun time. It was a blast. Level 99 in Natick, Massachusetts is truly a phenomenal time.
We have a place like that here in Memphis called the Adventure Museum, and it's exactly like what you described. Lots of little rooms. You get a little wristband. You badge into the room with your friends.
Yeah.
There's everything from bungee rope obstacle courses to Legends of the Hidden Temple style.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, same thing.
It's so fun. I love that. We should all do one of those. We should. When we get together in Boston, we should go.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys can't come to Boston, I'll fly to you. Shit. I'll go conquer some new puzzles.
Exit Velo says Massachusetts has the wildest town names. My favorite is Sandwich on Cape.
Yeah. On the way to Cape Cod. The best is the Sandwich police cars, because it's Sandwich PD. It's just wonderful.
Oh my God, the Sandwich Police. Too much mustard, baby.
They have cars labeled the Sandwich Police.
Mm-hmm. They should.
We gotta go. I want to go and get a sandwich and eat it next to the Sandwich Police. That would be a thrill for me.
You can do that. Free will is a thing, and we know where Sandwich is. And hey, we can go there on the way to the Cape or to Martha's Vineyard too. Could get you boys on the vineyard, which would be nice.
Not a bad idea. How about you, Alex? What'd you do this weekend?
There's a boat force there.
I got to start saying my weekend before Will, because I didn't do anything.
I'm always doing stuff.
I worked all day Saturday. And then I tried very hard to do nothing all day yesterday, and I kind of failed. So I worked like half of yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a long yesterday too. A long day yesterday. But
Oh man, that mug is giving me serious like kids Nickelodeon like slime vibes.
for people in podcast land, Alex is drinking out of a bright orange mug. That's a nice mug. We should consider that color for maybe the next Rise Up mugs. The unfortunate thing about the Rise Up mug, our retailer, is I don't know that we can get the handle. So I'm gonna have to look into another one. That'd be cool.
Well, this is like one of those ultra thick diner mugs. Every time
Diner
I'm
mugs, yeah.
drinking coffee out of a diner and they have interesting mugs, I always buy the mug every time. So this is from Cafe Hollander in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is shout out. Haven't only been there once. It was amazing.
Oh, I found a new like slightly upscale diner this weekend. Was absolutely thrilled with it. Griddled. If you can give me a really nice griddled blueberry muffin, you know, but like you do it right with the right amount of butter, and it's just like it's not too sweet. It's like perfect. Oh, yeah. Banana pancakes were on point. Hash Benedict, phenomenal. It was great. Thoroughly thrilled.
Whether you're listening in Sandwich, in Charlotte, or on the beach somewhere like our friend Mandy, this is your place for helpful news, commentary, answers to your crypto questions. So leave us your questions, suggestions, your good jokes, your words of wisdom, and of course, your predictions in the chat. We've got a busy day today because we did have a busy weekend. It always seems like this happens when we get off the air Thursday. The news headlines just keep coming. The market was up. The market was down. Mostly the market was down. But we'll get into all that. First, I wanted to open up with just a couple of headlines. So let's do it.
Rapid fire crypto news.
Gets me every time. So the biggest headline story that we did touch briefly, but that I do want to direct your attention to now in case you missed it, so we can give it the treatment, is that the White House has unveiled its comprehensive crypto policy blueprint. This is a 168-page crypto policy report, sweeping recommendations that are going to shape the future of digital assets. You can, of course, find it at whitehouse.gov. We'll put a link to it in the episode below. This was compiled by President Trump's working group on digital asset markets, the Crypto Czar and Company. It urges the SEC and CFTC to collaborate on clarifying rules for custody and record keeping for your favorite cryptocurrencies, and make some other recommendations like giving the CFTC authority to oversee spot markets while advocating self-custody rights for individuals. It's got a bit about taxation. The group backs a crypto asset reporting framework that will require U.S. residents to report foreign-held digital asset sales to the IRS. And they do encourage the Treasury and the IRS. They say, hey, we're going to need a little bit of new guidance about transactions, de minimis receipts, and it's, as I say, a sweeping bill. If you don't have time to read the whole bill, another good catch-up is to search for Rebecca Rettig, Rettig 1 on X. She did like a 30-tweet summary with links, takeaways from the bill. Rebecca is legal at Jito Labs. She was on the chopping block last week and is a super sharp correspondent. She was the one I was saying that broke down the Clarity Act because she had read every draft of it. Speaking of government policy, the SEC launched Project Crypto to bring U.S. markets on chain. I saw this when our friend Hester Peirce shared it in a tweet. You can go to the SEC's website to see more about this. But in a speech by Chairman Paul Atkins, they unpacked this initiative just one day after the White House's report dropped. And some of the things in this bill include collaboration to implement the president's working group recommendations, to classify digital assets into different categories, not just securities. And in fact, went so far as to say that most crypto assets are not securities. Big win for a lot of our friends. It's a really regulation second, but regulation forward policy approach to try and incubate more growth in the United States to make it the crypto capital President Trump wants it to be. Senator Loomis introduced a bill, the 21st Century Mortgage Act, which is a mortgage reform bill aimed at modernizing the home loan eligibility process by including crypto in mortgage assessments. Under Loomis's bill, digital assets held in a qualified custodial arrangement for at least 2 years could count as borrower reserves. So you got funds on Coinbase, you got funds on Kraken, you got funds on River, on Gemini, etc. She says this legislation embraces an innovative path to wealth building. And if you want to read more about that, I recommend you do a Google search for it and support the link at unchainedcrypto.com. Big shout out to Unchained, because a lot of my headlines, and in fact, some of the copy I'm reading right now, comes from their coverage. They're really, really a fantastic source for all things crypto. Also related to the SEC, they approved in-kind redemptions for crypto ETFs. Really quick, are you hip to this concept of in-kind redemptions?
Vaguely.
Yeah, I always have to look it up each time, though.
Okay, for the folks in our audience, this is a good thing to know, because right now, the Bitcoin and ETH ETFs, they were previously like cash-only structures where you could redeem your ETFs for cash. But issuers can now redeem and create shares directly with Bitcoin or Ethereum tokens, BTC or Ether. This is just going to reduce trading friction. It's going to help tighten the spreads that people pay, those little fees you pay when you're swapping in and out from your ETF to cash to Bitcoin. Now you're going to go directly from a Bitcoin ETF to Bitcoin. The crypto folks like it because it's a more direct path to ownership. And in a parallel development, the SEC also acknowledged a NASDAQ proposal to enable staking for BlackRock's iShares Ethereum Trust, ETHA. If this is approved, then that would be the unlock that would allow ETH ETFs to generate yield by staking ETH while distributing rewards to shareholders. Pretty cool, huh? And the last piece of ETF related news is that a new plan from CBOE could help to fast track upcoming ETFs like the Sol ETF, like an XRP ETF that they mentioned in this article. It basically outlines a list of requirements that if you file with these requirements met, your ETF is going to get the fast track to approval within, don't quote me on this, I want to say it was like 60 to 90 days. This would mean that Solana would meet the threshold in mid-September, setting a stage for fund approvals by early October. And XRP, they say, would likely follow shortly after. Two more quick stories. Coinbase is joining Robinhood, preparing to launch tokenized stocks and prediction markets like Polymarket for US users in the month ahead.
I would love so badly to be able to buy stocks on Coinbase instead of having to take money off of Coinbase to my bank account over to Fidelity. That all takes time, and then taking that money back to go back to crypto. And then by then I've missed the trade setup that I wanted to because crypto moves too quickly. Oh, that'd be so nice. Give it to me. Give it to me, Coinbase.
They're trying to be the everything exchange. And their vice president of product, Max Bronsberg, said, we're bringing all assets on chain. We're bringing stocks, prediction markets, and more. Who knows what and more means, but we're here to find out.
Just let me buy Circle.
Just let me buy Circle.
Just let me buy Circle.
Exactly. And the final sort of piece that I have for you today is also related to Coinbase. Shout out to our friends at Dune. If you're in podcast land, you want to check out YouTube for this screen share. Dune Analytics reported on this, and they have a neat little newsletter where they share different dashboards. Dune is an analytics plug-and-play platform where any stats nerd can go use their API to put together a more helpful, human-readable set of data. In this case, I have pulled up a dashboard about Zora coins to support this article that let me know Base has officially surpassed Solana in daily token launches, driven by the explosive rise of Zora's Coin It creator coins, where every trade sends 1% of the fee in Zora tokens back to the content originator. A trend that we could probably expect to continue, though it does appear, based on these charts, to be tapering just a bit. I said that was the last, but really, truly the last thing is that we said on the show, happy 10th birthday to Ethereum, but I did want to let you know that Ethereum marked its 10th anniversary last week, July 30th, 2025, and the very first block of its second decade was produced by BuilderNet, which is fitting because it's a decentralized block building network. And what they do is Ethereum's got a real sort of sticky problem making block construction, who gets to submit transactions and add blocks to the chain, fair, neutral, accessible. But this company redistributes what we call MEV, max extractive value flow, back to users. So instead of just really rich companies, validators, super infrastructure companies capturing all the value, this is a product that allows people to contribute, put up a stake for the network, earn a share of the rewards. And so pretty cool that they get the chance to mint the first block. Mint the first block, mine the first block. What do we do now that it's proof of stake? I don't know. Validate, we validate. So those are your headlines. What stands out to you guys as interesting, noteworthy, or nothing burger? And did we miss anything? What do you think?
Well, the only thing to add on to the ETF news is that if you're looking for staking to be turned on for the Ethereum ETF, that window is between September to November based on the amount of time that the SEC has to make a decision. I think it's on Fidelity's, because Fidelity is big enough to point. And BlackRock's is also in that window on the November timeframe. So keep your eyes open for that. And then if staking gets turned on for the Ethereum ETF,
Pew, 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 pew.
most likely. There were other things I wanted to comment on too, right? No, I'm super pumped about the tokenized stocks on Coinbase because I would love for them to list like the crypto stocks because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Their customer base would be most interested in cryptocurrency related stocks. So your micro strategies, your coin, obviously they'll have coin, which is their stock. And then Circle would be most interesting. There was one other thing I was going to comment on, but it's escaping me. So Alex, run with it and I'll try to remember.
I think the interesting one that jumped out at me was the number of tokens created.
Yes.
Because to be honest, it sounds like something that's good for Solana. I'm curious, was that due exclusively to how fast the number jumped up because of Zora, or is it also corresponding to a drop off on Solana? Because I'm hoping for both.
I don't honestly know about the Solana numbers. I have visuals on the Zora numbers. There were 1.78 million content coins created on Zora. It looks like since...
Does this same tool here allow you to just search for something? Can you look up Solana?
This is Dune, so you could... but it's not human. Here's the way Dune works. They've got a ton of APIs that they connect to. Anybody anywhere can search for a data point that they connect to, but to see it on a dashboard like this, somebody has to have done the work of curating it. It's sort of like a build your own DeFi llama. They've got all the raw data. You come together and put it in a nice little table like this, and then you can share it with people. I don't know. Let's see about Solana new tokens. Let's see. Solana Flow, new tokens. This is 9 months ago. Meme coin trading stats 2 years ago. Yeah, and see, this isn't like a super cute dashboard. What I'm looking at here for the people in podcast land, I just searched Solana new tokens. I see Iki Tati has a dashboard they just call new tokens. And this is a query of poly market users versus daily total users. They've also got front run fun, new tokens on Solana by project. Oh, that's interesting. Here we go. But it only goes through May 2025. Darn, that's not very helpful. Sorry, Alex. I got to say, I don't have an answer for you.
So I am just checking something.
But based on the trend line here, it looks like in January of 2025, there were just over 2.5 million tokens launched on Solana, and that trend has sort of gone downward. The last reported month was June, and it looks like about 750,000 total tokens were launched. And this is a dashboard that tracks Pump.Fun, PumpSwap, Radium's, Launch Lab, Radium, Meteora, Orca, Phoenix, and Staples. So all the major players.
So,
and I don't know if I would expect that to have gone up or down, considering we're in a more bullish phase.
Well, regardless, an interesting metric tidbit would be that dollars wise, volume traded on Solana in the last 24 hours versus base is about 1.5 billion, 1.15 billion on base. And any guesses for Solana?
Volume of dollars?
Yeah, like traded on. They've done how
And
much?
this is like the fees they generate, or like
No, just volume, like amount of volume on the chain.
In a month?
The last 24 hours.
I'm sure it's I'm gonna say 3 times that amount.
I'm gonna go
Or 5 plus
2. I'm gonna go 2.5.
10.
Oh
Whoa.
shit!
Yeah.
Damn.
10 billion.
A lot more velocity to those tokens.
Yeah.
The thing about the
The other
Zora
thing-
tokens is they're stuck on that platform largely. And
The
that
other thing I was
platform
going to
is
say
small.
too is with the Zora tokens, like they're creator tokens, right? So it's like they're just being created. I feel like, as opposed to, because like you don't have a lot of people watching on Zora. You don't have a lot of people like buying those creator tokens. I feel like so
Yep.
they're just being created and then you're just doing nothing. Whereas the Solana, you know, that trading metric there, of course, that's actual usage. I need to go try and trade. I need to go not trade, but put content on Zora. I signed up for the new the latest Coinbase app, the base app. The base app is what it's called, and I don't think I'm gotten on the wait list yet.
Yeah, I've had it's okay. It's about like Instagram for me, is kind of what the user experience feels like. It looks and feels more like Instagram, and I, as like a video native guy, tend to prefer something more like TikTok. They've really spoiled us.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know how that goes, because I would create more content over there if I felt like more people were watching. Tori says an interesting point here about Dune is you get a certain amount of credits to use. I've run queries that are too large and got hit. And we have a couple questions in the audience. You guys want to take a few questions?
Yeah.
One of the questions comes from our friend Ace. Good to see you, friend, who asked, do you think the crypto ETF will give ETH staying power, will solidify ETH's future, is something that they said. And I responded in the chat to say, like, do you feel like its future is uncertain?
Well, it depends on what you really consider its future to be. Like, Ethereum is always going to be around in that sense, like its future is secure. But in terms of it being like a popular and really good investment decision, you know, who knows? But this ETF certainly, I saw Alex's comment, firms up Ethereum's long-term viability as an investment in the space. Absolutely. The only things that you can possibly look at in the crypto space right now for potential long-term investing is they need, right now in this market, they need a popular ETF product. That's a spot ETF product behind it. You need it. Otherwise, you're just not going to have the big money run towards it. And then that's going to attract all the attention, and money for, even on-chain is going to flow to that as it chases it. So, you know, you really need it if you're going to look for a long-term investment play, in my personal opinion.
Beautiful. What do you think, Alex? ETFs solidify Ethereum's future?
Yeah, I mean, they, like I said, you know, nothing's guaranteed. But what I meant by firm up is just like if you give the ability for a bunch of money to park somewhere for a longer term play, then you just shore up the infrastructure, keeping that particular thing around, relevant and alive. Especially if something becomes heavily used in an ETP of some sort. You just, you know, obviously that's kind of the calling card of anything mass adoption, right? Like why is anyone excited about mass adoption? This sort of white whale, if you will, is just because of the idea that a bunch more money can go into something. And just because we have data to show that the ETPs are at least somewhat popular in their current form, it stands to reason and logic that they would become more popular if they got better and allowed for a dividend, potentially. Now, I will say that we don't know for sure whether or not that's how it will translate. APY for natively staking Ether is not necessarily the highest thing ever. And so it remains to be seen what the breakdown would be, or the payout structure would be, between an ETP custodian of being allowed to stake that Ether. And, you know, theoretically, they're not contractually obligated at this point to pay out any certain amount to people. So they might only pay out, they might pay almost all of it. They might skim 10% for themselves. It might be half, could be a quarter, who knows? Unless, Will, you've seen something about that, but I certainly haven't seen any literature to suggest what their breakdown would be.
No, I don't know.
So in that sense, that's kind of what it's sort of up in the air.
I did see this comment here. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to run over you right there at the end. But I saw the comment here from Mandy, because I know a lot of people are always interested in XRP. XRP spot ETF by September? Most likely no. The thing is you've had Ethereum kind of is the main horse that's ready to have the gate broken open to allow that horse to run. And September to November is the time frame for when the SEC has to make a decision on the spot ETFs that it has. And guys, the SEC typically will wait as long as possible before it approves an ETF.
Real good at can kicking.
Yeah, it's real good at can kicking. Now, it doesn't mean it has to, of course. One thing that could happen is when they say, hey, we're going to allow the spot ETF for Ethereum to go live, they could also say, hey, we're going to allow the spot ETF for other ETFs to go live too. They could. That's not really how they operate. They're going to look at each asset probably for about as long as they can to just continue to keep an eye on that asset for as long as possible.
I think she might have been responding to this story that I read too about the CBOE filing. So let me give you more detail on that. It's last Wednesday, a proposal was filed from CBOE that, if passed, would allow certain crypto-backed funds to be listed automatically if they meet standard requirements. This is not a law. This is not this is a proposal. And the proposal is that if the underlying crypto assets have been trading as regulated futures for at least 6 months. So Solana will meet that threshold in mid-September, which would set approvals according to this process by early October. And XRP, just based on timelines, would follow shortly thereafter if this kind of thing was approved. Unless they do that, as Will says, they're gonna take it one by one by one. So we're not saying that there's going to be an ETF by this or that date. We're saying there may be a policy change that would help ETFs get listed sooner if they met certain requirements.
Then also, it's easier to front run as an insider if you have one released at a time as opposed to all of them. And, it's just how markets work.
Well, it's important to, I think, to say that price increase in a token driven by an ETF is speculative, meaning that the custodians of these ETPs purchasing the asset to compensate for volume buying shares of their ETF is over the counter. They're not buying market, meaning that there's no direct impact on price because it's not hitting the chart the same way. And any price increase in the other asset would be driven by people buying it spot outside of the ETF, driven by the desire to get some before the ETF custodian buys all of it, in theory. Now, it's worth noting that this year or this cycle, getting an ETF is kind of the same as they're launching a game in 2021. It's genuinely, I don't even think it's really a good thing for pretty much anything. I'm kind of the mind that spot Ether ETFs are not good for Ethereum. Allowing them to be staked is like one way to make them a little bit less bad by at least allowing that ETH to contribute and support the network and help secure it by doing its job. But in general, like ETF custodians buying a tremendous amount of the supply of a utilitarian cryptocurrency and just holding it is sort of counterproductive. But
I would kind of push back on that. I feel like,
I disagree.
Especially they're going to stake it. I feel like that's the best thing for the Ethereum network.
Yeah, that's why I think that Ether is kind of like the exception there. But like any of the other ones, the whole point, and I would love to disagree on this because I do. I think that we keep treating all of these things the same way, as in what we want is to buy it and have it to go up in value, regardless of what it does or what its purpose is. That's kind of the point. And so if we're looking at all of the big layer one ecosystem like native tokens, then sure, they kind of are all the same. But in that sense, though, I mean, shouldn't the point be to spread out holdership of these things as much as humanly possible and then get them to be used. I mean, like, sure, you can make the case, which is, I'm sure, what you would say, Evan, that if you take them and stake them, then you are doing what you're supposed to do with them. But, you know, in what amount? Like, is there a number in your head where you're saying, like, okay, if X% of the circulating supply or total supply is staked, then the rest of it should be fluid and moving and doing whatever? Because in my head, these things are not meant to be hoarded. They're meant to be used. That's kind of the point. It's one of the things that I've said for a long time, years, about stuff like Chainlink, where you have this token that is utilized pretty heavily. A lot of stuff uses Chainlink in tiny amounts, and the price of it skyrocketing just sort of makes everyone's service more expensive. So it's sort of designed, hopefully, not to get ludicrously expensive, because that would be counterproductive. I don't think anybody cares, because we just want the price to go up indefinitely, and we're not really thinking about it from a usefulness standpoint. We just want it to become more valuable. Now, I think XRP could be the exception, because, and it's going to sound like I'm throwing shade, and I kind of am just a little bit, but it ends up being good for XRP's price, in my opinion. No one's really using it to do anything, and you can't stake it. So you might as well let a bunch of ETPs hold a shitload of it and make it harder to come by, just because there is so much of it being traded. You have a bunch of it that comes out of escrow monthly. Not all of that gets sold. That would be a lot. But the only thing anyone really does with XRP is hold it and hope. So in that sense, it kind of makes more sense for XRP to have an ETF that wouldn't be inherently unhealthy for its ecosystem, the same way that I think a Solana ETF might not necessarily be the world's greatest thing for Solana. Because, I mean, in that sense, then what are you really doing? At staking, again, I'll concede that that would be much less bad. But if there's no staking, I think those things are bad for the ecosystem in general.
Yeah, but thinking about like Ethereum in a second, why does it matter if there's a large chunk of supply out there that's not being used, not being used for gas fees? Like, why does it matter?
Well, it's not just that they're not being used for gas fees. It's that if you have ETH tokens that are not being staked, then that's tokens that could be contributing to
I'm talking about, like, in this case, they're going to get staked, guys. Like, like the staking's going to get turned on. So, like, they'll be used to secure the network. But, like, why does it matter if there's a big batch of Ethereum that isn't being used for its, like, utilitarian purpose,
I don't understand how those are two different questions. Its utilitarian purpose is staking and settling debts on the network, like Bitcoin. It's the
fueling the network. Yeah.
Am I misunderstanding? Like that?
No, it's like a gas fees and then staking. Like, yes, like both are utilitarian purposes. And I know Alex said that ETH might be the exception, but I'm just asking the question: why does it matter if there's a huge chunk of Ethereum that, in this case, is just not being used for gas?
I think it only. I think
in general, what I mean is that if you just continue to hoard and lock up giant supply or giant chunks of the supply of a utilitarian cryptocurrency, what you're doing is making it more scarce, and that spits in the face of what it should be. Like, in theory, it's good. It sounds good from the perspective of making it more valuable, but my worry is that long term, by treating something like Ether or Sol like something that is meant to be hoarded instead of something that is meant to be used, we would eventually run it to the point where so much of it is locked or held or whatever, and it becomes more and more and more expensive, which hurts the usage rate of the thing in general, because it becomes harder to get, harder to use. More and more and more of it is being purchased and bought up by the ETP custodians. By the way, sorry, I saw Solemn's comment. I keep saying ETP and ETF interchangeably. ETP is the broad category. ETF is a type of ETP. ETPs are exchange-traded products. ETFs are funds, one type of product, but there's more than one type of ETP. Not every ETP is an ETF, but every ETF is an ETP. Anyway, that's kind of what I mean. Like, I think for now and for the foreseeable future, I don't think it really is going to matter that much. But in general, like Chainlink, right? A ton of businesses buy it and use it in tiny amounts to fund the queries that they run, the things that they use that tool for. If you made it ludicrously expensive, it costs more for them to do that.
Not really. Gas fees are driven by block demand, which is how many people want to use the network right now. They almost have nothing to do with supply. If the price rises because of scarcity, then like the fees denominated in ETH, they might feel cheaper even if the ETH cost stays flat. I would be more worried about like the centralization risk. If some big actor like BlackRock wants to buy a ton of it and stake a ton of it or have a ton of validators and reduce liquidity, that would be the biggest thing. Is like if we don't have enough liquidity on exchanges and dexes, then you're going to have more volatility when there's periods of high demand. You're going to have less ETH available for collateral in DeFi. If it's all being staked with validators, it's not going to be going to other protocols to keep them secure. But I think that makes somebody like EigenLayer really valuable. For example, EigenLayer facilitates the provision of like security as a service. They've got all these validators that you can like leverage. Not everybody in the future is going to, they're betting ETH as a network. Most of them are betting that a lot of ETH is going to be staked. Not everyone is going to have the ability to run their own validator. And so like accessing validators as a service is going to become really, really valuable if ETH is like the backbone of the future internet, which is the direction we're headed.
And if most of those validators are owned by the same 5 custodians, then there's your centralization risk. I just mean as if you want demand to increase in more than just the desire to hold it you want more people to use it. Like I keep coming back to this idea that at this point, barely anyone is really using this stuff. Take all the networks. It's Solana has a lot of dollar value or volume rather, but still it's not like there's gajillions and gajillions of people using this to do stuff with. You just have more speculative trade there because that's kind of one of the big things that you do with it.
Yeah, but the more you have a gigantic pile of stuff set aside and the price goes up, the more people's radar this technology gets put on, and then you have more people use it.
I wouldn't say use it. I would say buy it, which I guess
you'll have more people buy it, but then they'll do the natural journey where a certain percentage of them will get on chain and start actually using stuff as they find the new technology.
I'd be
Greatest
curious.
Marketing is always number go up,
Well, sure, yeah. I'm curious and I don't know. I don't have any data for this. I'd be curious to see what it is. Because I remember this was a big thing when like the Trump meme launched. How many of these people are on chain now for the first time ever, and how many of them went on to do something else. And what I do remember is that number was unbelievably low. Bought it for the first time, putting them into the on-chain world, and then also subsequently went on to do something else. It was like less than 1%, which granted is growth. It's still positive. But like how much of that is really just allowing their liquidity to be siphoned out to one of the other power users that was in there that front ran the shit out of them. So I agree with you, Will. I don't want this is not a disagreement because I think you're right. That number go up is a good marketing campaign. I don't think it's a good marketing campaign to like come in and use stuff. I think it's a good marketing campaign to come in and gamble. And the more of that we keep pushing instead of this idea that like, hey, you can actually do stuff with this and maybe there's a reason for you to use this one versus that one, instead of just brand loyalty and speculation, which is right now about the only reason that anyone buys anything except for Solana and Ethereum. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a curmudgeon, which is true. But
I always come back to like the amount of the utilitarian purpose of the token, paying for gas fees to actually do stuff on chain as opposed to just staking, is always solved because there is basically an infinite supply of every token for the purpose of gas fees, because you can just tokenize it to the next decimal point, to the next decimal point, to the next decimal point in perpetuity as the token gets more expensive. Because as the token gets more expensive dollar-wise, you need less of the token in terms of how much of that token to actually pay for gas fees. And so you technically have an infinite supply of the token to do stuff with.
That's assuming, that fees continue to scale that way.
Yeah. But like the way the tech is like you're going to keep getting advanced layer 2s and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff.
Giga baby.
Yeah, giga gas, assuming of course the tech holds up, which I don't see any reason as to why the tech wouldn't continue to scale. All we've seen for years now is just the tech continue to scale.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bearded has a really good comment, said brand loyalty and chatter seem to be what moves token. Like you say, Will, number go up is the greatest marketing tactic. Speaking of marketing tactics, I want to make a very quick commercial because I've seen a couple people ask about this. If you missed the announcement at the beginning, we have a totally free to join community that is moving from Discord to a new platform called Circle. It's going to be easier to use. It's going to be safer to use. And we are launching it to the public tomorrow. If you are already a member of the Rise Up Discord server, you're going to get a message today. Check your email, check the Discord server. We're going to get you over there and we'll be working on it all week. Tomorrow during the show, we'll do the official launch. If you want to get in that community, my advice to you would honestly be wait until tomorrow. Then come back. We're all going to have updated links in our bio. We've got a new website that we've ported our domain over. So if you click the link in my bio today, it might not work, but we will have all that, a little tutorial, a drive through for you. And then we're going to give that Circle community a good test run, a good warm welcome. And we can't wait to see you there. Bearded had another question. I wanted to wrap it up in a question about ETFs. And then Will, because I know you got to stop at the top of the hour, I'd love to defer to you to see, as we left last week, you were pretty bullish on Bitcoin, and then it was rough. It was a rough week. It could go this way happened. So can you give us a little calm in the storm after we talk about this ETF thing? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So the question from Bearded is, what do you guys think about crypto.com and Crow? And I wanted to wrap it up into a question about which ETFs we thought, as just Price is Right speculators, were most likely to come to market next from crypto. I say that because I think crypto.com, whether or not Crow is likely to get an ETF, I don't know that I think that's very likely, but I do think it's likely that they are getting closer and closer to a public offering, that they're going to take their company public and issue stock. And that would be something I'd be interested to get your opinions on. Do you think crypto.com is likely to do that? And do you have any other thoughts on its token? I honestly haven't paid much attention to its token, despite the fact that they're one of the leading exchanges, certainly in the United States.
Yeah, I just never really pay attention much to crypto.com. I'm not really, I'm also just not interested in buying centralized cryptocurrency exchange tokens because it's just not like my jam. There's a real great reason to. Basically, if like the amount of people going to use crypto.com are expected to continue to increase, then there's a larger pool of people who are incentivized to get the Crow token to lower their trading fees. Right. So it makes sense. It's a pretty cool model. And BNB is also a great token. Typically what happens too is in market downturns, those centralized cryptocurrency exchanges in portfolios are like the last things to sell because people are selling the other tokens in their portfolio, but holding on to their centralized exchange tokens because they want the cheaper trading fees while they dump the other coins. So the centralized exchange tokens tend to be like the last things that dump. So, there's a certain level of kind of interesting strategy of including them in your portfolio because of that, because they can pretty reliably be the last thing you sell. But like, I just don't sure, like crypto.com's probably going to go public because Coinbase went public and they made a bunch of money, and crypto.com's probably going to go public and they'll probably make a bunch of money. And that's about as far as I go when I think about it, honestly.
Crypto.com accounts. I keep hearing about it, and I only ever hear about it in the comments, like when someone asks about Crow, like Crow thoughts. Yeah. And I always look, and they're kind of around the same spot. Like crypto.com does like 1% of the global trading volume on centralized exchanges. Am
I supposed to be impressed or underwhelmed by that number?
Underwhelmed. I mean, they're doing, they're moving money. There's a significant amount because, overall trading volume is high all around. But they're in I don't remember off the top of my head. The last time I looked, they were in like 12th or 15th or something place, like exchange wise overall, north of 10th. So there's a lot ahead of them. I'd be curious how many people can on the spot name 10 exchanges. So they have brand recognition because they're being beaten by a ton of exchanges that you probably couldn't name off the top of your head. And yet they are a name that we know, probably because they're on the Octagon. They've done Super Bowl commercials.
They do a lot of marketing.
Right. That's the power of marketing right there.
They launched early, got business share, raised money with their token, and now they're spending it, I would say, effectively, except for probably on social media. God, their social media ads are terrible.
Yeah, their ads are terrible. But you know what though? I've almost come around to say, you know what? At least they're running commercials.
True.
Because the
At least
rest of
they're-
the industry has
at
their
least they're
head
trying.
like bent all the way back around and shoved completely up their own ass to be like, everyone's going to show up at some point. I don't need to tell anyone anything about anything.
They don't need to tell anyone anything because they're already talking to the big money players, and they've decided that's all they have bandwidth and a desire to talk to.
Yeah, so I don't know that I really expect much from it. It's not going anywhere. I think it could do, in a bull scenario, will the token go up? Absolutely. But if you're going from like 10-ish cents to like 22 cents or something, I don't know. That's what I would expect, and it might take a long time. I feel like if you're a speculator, it's getting harder and harder for me to justify spending my dollars on anything but Bitcoin, and I don't know.
It's the idea, like, okay, in an altcoin scenario where stuff's going to run, are you trying to find which one is going to be the driver, or are you praying and hoping that the thing you got is going to get a collateral pump? And I would personally rather hunt for the driver. If you can't conceptualize a reason for it to go up other than, well, the rest of the space is going to do numbers, then you're just talking about a laggard, which is fine,
Okay.
Matters.
Then let me kick it over because we do want to get your take on this Bitcoin thing, Will. And if we have time, maybe as your final thought, we can all do a round of which ETFs do you think are most likely to come to market. How do you feel
Screw
about
the Bitcoin thing. Ethereum just printed a long signal on the weekly chart. So screw Bitcoin.
Might be over for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I just pulled up a chart real quick, and I was like, I haven't looked at Ethereum's chart in like a few days, and I was like, oh, it just printed a long signal.
Well, wouldn't that make sense? Like, if we went back to like the days of old, cyclically speaking, if you have Bitcoin just like run, and then chill, like, shouldn't ETH go?
Do great. Yeah, that is the olden times.
And
The
Bitcoin's
olden
currently
times.
chilling after running. So in theory,
But the thing is like, also from TA standpoint, like, Bitcoin on August 2nd hits a previous high on a consolidation zone for, actually, I'll just pull up my chart real quick.
Whip it up. And
This is much
while you
easier.
do, let me remind the folks listening in podcast land that if you want to see Will do a screen share, you want to see the news articles we referenced earlier, the best place is to go to the YouTube playlist. We've got all kinds of beautiful video streaming there to accompany your listening experience. Go for it, Will.
Evan, I need you to zoom out a little bit more on TikTok. There you go. Now I just want that whole blue channel to be showing. So on August 2nd, Bitcoin's price came down to the 55-day exponential moving average for support, this blue line, but also this consolidation zone here. It fell to the top of it. Now, when you have a consolidation zone, which is when Bitcoin just slides to the side, if you have price that shot upwards and comes back to touch the top of that zone and has a strong, confident boost upwards, typically it's a pretty damn good time to have been buying and to have been beginning dollar cost averaging. Typically, that's a major area of support with a strong, confident boost off of. We don't have that strong, confident boost off of it yet, but we are potentially getting the beginning of that. So if we can get a little bit more upwards price action, if we can really hold like 15.5K, 16K, then we have that strong, confident move of bounce upwards off of key consolidation, previous past history. Off of the high of it, typically a very good sign to have been buying. At the same time, stochastic RSI, which is a very good bottom indicator, was oversold. Also, a real good time to be dollar cost averaging when you see that too. And yeah, I mean, that could have been the bottom. If we could easily break this, if we break support here, you could see Bitcoin go down to like 108K, maybe even a little bit lower. But the market incentives aren't there right now because on the Bitcoin liquidity heat map, 1 second.
Google.
There's way more reason for the market to go upwards. And I'll show you that in 1 second. Oh, no, wrong chart.
I love it when you say that. Hello, my honey. Hello, my darling. Hello, my darling.
Right time down. No, wrong link. I'm a
Wrong
fool.
how embarrassing.
I know. Here we go. And I don't want the 24-hour chart. I want to see liquidation zones over the next month. Because this will show us what leverage positions, what margin positions, what contracts, futures contracts here are going to expire over the next month, which gives us a much more long-term reading. And as you can see, if you've been watching my videos over the past month, this area below used to be fairly bright, and it's getting cooler and cooler and cooler toned. And higher up is getting brighter and brighter and hotter, which means that there's way more of a financial incentive in the market. There's way more of a big piggy bank for market makers and centralized exchanges to want to drive the market upwards because there's a lot of short positions to liquidate. if Bitcoin gets upwards to basically challenge the previous all-time high again. So there's more of a financial reason still, even more so now than there was before, for the market to go upwards as opposed to go down. So, that's what we're looking at. So Bitcoin landed on some very key support. Gotcha, Evan. Landed on some very key support. We want to see a confident move upwards. Nothing is confirmed yet, but the money incentives for the market to move higher are absolutely there. So that's why I was in my videos, I'm like, hey, it's a good time to be dollar cost averaging. If we fall further, it's an even better time to continue your dollar cost average. That's why we dollar cost average.
Can you just elucidate on that and define what it means to dollar cost average practically in an asset like Bitcoin? What does that actually mean?
What it means is you buy, let's say you have $1,000 to buy, and you say, hey, I'm going to buy 10 times with $100. And maybe you buy once every day, maybe it's every 3 days or every 5 days or every week or every month or what have you, right? Just depends on how much money you have available to invest and when you get paid and how much you're willing to invest, right? It's about spreading out your buys so that your averaged position as you dollar cost average is created. Yeah. And some people buy every day. I buy Bitcoin and Solana every day with like some coffee money just tossed in there. And then, when I see things are really oversold, I buy with larger amounts of money. And I just do it, maybe I've been buying Solana with a decent chunk of change. I bought some yesterday and then I bought some on Friday with larger amounts. And, because I just see it, I'm like, potentially this is the bottom, but I didn't buy with everything. I still have some stable coins. Because if the market blasts off that way, hey, I bought the bottom. But if the market falls further, go, hey, cool, I get to buy more of the bottom and I get to lower my average. And then you're in a more likely position to, make money, make profit.
Beautiful. I want to let folks know that if you need a Bitcoin buying solution, you should check out Strike or River or Bitpanda. These are companies that connect to your bank, allow you to draft money over. And every day I have an auto buy set up so that for zero fees, I get the same amount of Bitcoin, whether the price is up or down. I don't have to think about it. It is the single best thing I've ever done for my cryptocurrency investing. I automate my Bitcoin buys. We have videos on it. We have tutorials on it. And the other thing we've got tutorials on that you should check out is if you want to read charts like Will, Casey said in the comments, boy, I sure would love to do technical analysis like you do, Will. Not only do we have a dedicated technical analysis channel in the community, we've got a class with Will. You can buy it. It's a recording. You can get it self-paced. And if you want it on a discount, then the real rub is when we go to the Circle community, sign up for a premium membership trial. You get 10 days free. Used to be 7. Now you get 10. Thanks for the upgrade, Circle. And you can get that course at like 60% discount.
Yeah.
So.
It's a great place if you are just beginning to read charts. And since then, too, I've included a few more things into the analysis. You can catch those in the videos. They'll get to a point where we do like another hey, here's a quick half hour with some extra stuff.
Yeah,
kind of a course too. We'll do that for sure.
And Rise Up Market Watch, right?
Yeah, and Rise Up Market Watch tonight at 8 p.m. You can also learn a ton by that. It's myself and Doug, or Trend Drift over on Twitter. Or no, here. What's his name? I got to remember this at some point. Anyway, Von, we also call him that. He is a man of many names.
Anyway, the guy in the bathroom.
The guy in the bathroom. We'll be live for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or so tonight from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10. And we'll be doing a whole bunch of charting and stuff and taking a look at markets and taking your suggestions and having a good old time. I need to go hop on a call. It's going to be a pretty short call, so I'll probably be able to hop back in 5-10 minutes or so. So I'll be right back, hopefully. But the last thing I want to say is there have been a lot of Twitter rumors about China banning crypto. They aren't.
Right on schedule.
It was just a shit post that went viral from someone who posted it, and it's not. China's not banning crypto. Anyway, guys, I'm going to hop back into the back office. I'll be back soon.
We'll see you in a minute. Yeah, if you're unfamiliar with the meme, China bans crypto at least once every cycle. Probably done it a dozen times by now. I do.
They also banned Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, how dare they? I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. There was a cartoon a long time ago that made fun of a prominent Chinese politician. They banned Winnie the Pooh.
Can't believe it.
That's just always my go-to. It's been banned for a long ass time.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny.
Not a cause for concern. Lots of people use crypto in China. Alex, if you had to pick, what would your candidates be for the next crypto ETF? I want to answer that question too, because that was a really good question. You want me to go first?
I mean, Probably the one that they keep alluding to, right?
It's
like
Solana.
It's the little handful of American companies. They have the perfect machine to approve exactly that. So yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah. So talking about Solana, I think an XRP ETF is very probable. I would say a Polygon ETF would not surprise me. They've got all those institutional partnerships. I don't think Avalanche would be that unsurprising. And
these are all way too small.
Too small? You think so?
Yeah. Unless, I mean, here's the thing. None of that shit matters anymore. Because, yeah, in theory, like according to historically how big an asset needs to get before it gets considered for an ETP, they're all too small.
Okay. How big historically? Do you happen to have a number on hand?
Yeah, it's like 400 or 500 billion. But I also don't think any of that matters anymore because there's no rules. This particular group is going to do whatever the fuck they want, whenever they want. Rules be damned. Oversight be damned. None of it matters. Full send. It's crime season, baby. So who gives a shit?
Of the facts.
In that sense, I would say that whatever they allude to, whatever they send signals out to tell their friends to load up on something before they do some manipulative move to pump something or crater something, like that's whatever it is. It doesn't matter. They're just pay attention to whatever they're saying. They're just trying to make themselves rich. So there you go.
I would throw Link in that bucket. I would throw Cardano in that bucket. I think, it continues to surprise me with its presence on like government endorsed cryptocurrency lists. No shade, Charles. Would still love to come hang out and meet the Falcon. But alas, here we are. Alex, can I ask you, I don't know if you saw this message, maybe you replied to it. I haven't checked back, but I wonder if we had a couple comments. One of our friends was asking about the experience of withdrawing deposits from Katana. And while you pull it up, can I give a PSA?
Godspeed.
Yeah, exactly. I had no problem with it. Like setting it up, doing it. I gave a little tutorial to.
What wallet do you use?
It's.
Which wallet did you originally connect to Katana with?
I think I did it through a Coinbase wallet. Did you die?
No, I'm just.
You
sounded like there was more.
Alex. Well, no. I have the way I use I did it through a social wallet, and the way I use my social wallets is like I share keys. I'm really not with my social wallets. I'll do it. I'm like, when you just turned like 20 and you got to the big city for the first time and you're drinking everything and eating everything and kissing everybody. Like that's how I treat my social wallets, man. If my social wallet could leave me and go to a safer place, it probably would. But that's because, it's out there plugging into new protocols. That's what it's for. So I have to struggle to remember like which interface I access stuff through. I think I did it through Coinbase wallet though.
I just have this thing where my go-to standard is a Phantom wallet. That's the main hub of my social wallet. I don't know what it is. I would love to get an answer as to what causes this. It happened on Anchor, and I'm not crazy because it happened to my mom too. Like we both had the exact same experience with it sitting there. That go to the thing and it was a connection option. It worked flawlessly to deposit and then mysteriously just disappeared as an option to do anything with. This is exactly what happened on Katana. I had zero issues depositing. I had zero issues using and navigating and popping around and connecting. And I can still, to this day, connect Phantom to it. It's an option to connect. Try to withdraw, go fuck yourself. And it's just like unsupported network can't do it. And I'm like, I don't understand. So and it's worth noting too that I'm not like a novice. So, I was like, okay, well, if this wallet doesn't work suddenly, inexplicably, couldn't get an answer because the person answering help ticket queries in the Discord is just like doesn't work there. Just like a helpful Discord person, but they don't actually really seem to know anything about the behind the scenes. They know how to like read you a script is kind of the vibe.
It's a trap.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'll take the private key for this Phantom wallet and I'll just import this account to a different shell into a different, and Trust Wallet is what I did. I just moved it over, opened that account, imported that account into Trust Wallet, connected. Okay, great. We got a little bit further. I'm able to like withdraw, but now I'm like stuck where I need to bridge it off of the network that it inexplicably bridged to when I deposited it there. So now I'm sitting here like with an account I'm trying to close on a network that I didn't put it on, and I have to like import the account to a different wallet. At this point, you've lost 99% of people.
Yeah.
So fast forward, and I'm just kind of like,
Is Alex going on a rant?
Yeah. I'm kind of just like, all right, well, I'm just going to wait, because in crypto, shit breaks all the time. And I have fixed more problems just by turning it off and waiting a week and coming back, and it just kind of inexplicably works again. I just happened to be catching it at a bad time. It didn't work. That didn't happen this time. Then I realized, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to spur this along to suddenly work? I need to just complain about it. So I just texted Evan, and then inexplicably it worked. It's been like 3.5 weeks. I've been trying to withdraw and just tried the same thing over and over and over and over again. And finally it worked. But at the end of the day, what I had to do was like connect wallet 1 to the protocol, deposit, flawless. Took 2 seconds. Import account to wallet 2, withdraw, bridge. Go to a separate protocol to bridge out. Now I have it sitting on ETH after bridging it off of Katana. Okay, so now I'm sitting here with a Trust wallet looking at a dashboard on the Katana bridge with a bunch of USDC that I can't claim because there's no gas in this fucking wallet.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have to buy gas and send it over there so that I have enough ETH to do the thing, whatever. I'm like, okay, great. It's also not recognizing the ETH that I have because that ETH is on a different blockchain. Okay, sick. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go ahead and let's just KYC on this new account with a different ramp to bring some, like just $10 over. And it's like, okay, well, now you have to start over and KYC on something else. And oh, it didn't accept your identity. It's like, okay, awesome. So I just put my social security number into this random ass on and off ramp platform so that I could try to KYC to put $10 into this thing to do whatever. And it just rejected the KYC attempts. I'm like, okay, awesome. I'm loving life. And we're weeks deep on what is like the latest and greatest, and it still fucking sucks. So, okay. We get up to the point where now all of a sudden, inexplicably, Trust Wallet's like, oh, hey, you do have ETH. My bad. Here it goes. Would you like to confirm? Like, yes, you piece of shit. I've been trying to do this for weeks. Please confirm the thing. And it just inexplicably works. This is not like click a different thing or do whatever. It's just like, try it for the 800th time and maybe one of these times it will work. So that happens. Now I have a dashboard view on the bridge with USDC on ETH, which is not the network I wanted on, but it's the only option. So that's cool. That's fine. I'll just pay more gas and I'll bridge it again by myself on a third platform later when I'm finally done with this bullshit.
That's cool. That's fine.
Yeah, fine. Great. Love it. We're one step closer to getting my money back. Anyway, we then get to the point where it's sitting there and it's like, would you like to add USDC to this wallet? I'm like, yeah, I sure would. Thank you so much for asking. Click the big blue button that says add USDC, and the button's just not a button. It just doesn't do anything. It's just a blue box on the screen that's not actually connected to something. So I'm like, okay, someone forgot to plug this in. So I'm just sitting there like, click, 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 please. And I'm just texting Evan like, Evan, I hate my life. What am I doing?
Like 20 text messages from Alex.
And Evan helpfully is just like, wow, it worked for me. And I'm like, cool, awesome. I love you so much. I'm so happy for you.
I'm helping you on another project being like, just copy and paste it, Alex.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm trying to tell Will, like, hey, I need you to copy these line breaks over that you have. And he's like, well, just copy and paste it. Thank you, Will. I love you. I didn't think of copying and pasting. Thank you so much. So both of these idiots are being not helpful at all by just telling me kindly that, well, it worked for me. Anyway, long story short. Well, I can't say that. Long story long.
Long story long.
We finally get it, and then I do have to go over to dBridge and move it back to the blockchain I actually wanted it on. So I did have to pay gas again. Luckily, it's pretty cheap, and it was just $1, but that's still obnoxious. Shout out to dBridge for being the only piece of this whole puzzle that just worked. And there we go. The full experience of depositing and withdrawing money from a brand new DeFi protocol. And the only thing I could think the whole time was like, holy shit, we have so much work to do.
Wait, which protocol was this?
Katana.
Oh, it was Katana.
He was trying to withdraw his USDC from Katana. I maintain that this is a Phantom wallet problem, not a Katana problem.
Phantom.
You did have issues getting Phantom wallet connected to Katana, so it might have been that.
Nope. I didn't have a single issue connecting and depositing. Not a single one. I had USDC on Polygon in Phantom. The deposit took half a second.
What was there was a DeFi protocol we were talking about
Anchor.
connecting to recently. Oh, it was Anchor. That's right. It was Anchor.
Also the same exact process.
Didn't like Phantom.
Connect, instant. Deposit, instant. Withdraw, ooh, we don't support that wallet connection anymore. What do you mean?
What do you mean? I'm here. I've been here.
You
Nice.
losers, yeah.
I literally sent a screenshot of the Phantom interface with the Anchor poll in it, like showing like, yep, there it is. And the only answer I got from everyone I asked was...
You know what? Alex going on a rant, I feel like, is an indicator that I should buy more Solana. You know, I should really just take like... I should find out, like, when we get a good rant from Alex, I should just like take an angry Alex screenshot of his face and just like place it on the chart and see if that's an indicator. That'd be fun.
I would actually really like.
I feel it in my bones right now that I should be buying more Solana.
Can we get Doug on that? Can we get Doug for his new little emoji
good.
charting tool to have an emoji of Alex's face with just like down. Amso says this verifies that we are still early, and we got Fair Gary saying the future of finance, ladies and gentlefish. Indeed, it is.
I don't know how to sell this thing.
Gentlefish.
We have so much work to do.
We have so much work to do. I want to take a minute to say on that note, we had a comment earlier. Could you please warn your followers about web3official.net? You guys ever heard of this website?
No, but
it's like how do you connect? How do you connect to Web3? It's just like you need the Web3 wallet. Like that's the thing I've seen, and it's a big scam.
Save yourself a step and just send the money to whoever sent you that DM.
And I want to just show people what this looks like. Every one of us heard that and knew it was a scam immediately. But if you're new or you don't have a community of friends who've experienced a scam like this before, you may fall victim to it. The best thing about scams like this is they're totally avoidable. Okay, so I have got a little screen share up, web3official.net. Usually when somebody includes a keyword that is a buzzword in their URL, and especially a word like official or real or legit or something like that, that's like a telltale sign this is a scam. The .net domain also tells me it's a scam. Crypto companies, for everything they may not be, the legit ones are rich. Crypto.com, do you know what that domain costs to buy, to maintain? They got the money for it. That's why you can go there. If I'm a scammer, I can't afford that. So I've got to buy Web3 for real, Web3 passive income.
Definitely totally legit, web3protocol.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And they often use buzzwords that you hear a lot of people say, but they don't, Web3 is a catch-all term. There is no such thing as the Web3 wallet. That's like saying the online website. Every website is online. Every wallet is Web3. So if you miss that red flag, the other red flags you're going to look for is this website looks pretty clean, pretty official. Honestly, this is one of the better ones I've seen. They've got a whole bunch of different little things here, but here are the telltale signs. They say Web3 certified, fake credential. If I Googled that, I would see there's no credential, Web3 certified. 500,000 users, $12.8 billion secured. These are stats that are easy to fake. Notice they don't give me any clickable links to verify this kind of thing. They've got a lot more buzzwords, essential features for modern asset management, real-time analytics, ready to experience it. They're driving us to click to install this app. Available staking pools, big-time APY. That's another red flag. Client success stories, another red flag. All it says is verified client. But if I click through, look, Tech Corp Solutions, DeFi Innovations, and Crypto Analytics Limited. Those are the names of their clients. If you wanted to verify this, you could Google those names and you would see that there's nobody behind it. Also, Support at web3official.com does not match web3official.net, their listed support website. They have a Twitter. Let's see what that looks like. It just takes me back to the top of the website. For people who are in podcast land, I'm clicking their social links and they all just redirect me. So it seems like a website that isn't quite complete, that's oriented around getting me to click a button to start. And I bet when I create this account or when I click to connect my wallet, they're going to ask me for my 12 or 24 word secret phrase. Or they're going to ask me for some other kind of personal information. Maybe they're just going to get a credit card payment from me. But the too long didn't read is if you can't verify where this information comes from, where this company exists, if you Google them and you don't find them, run from them. They're not here to help you. This is called a pig butchering scam. And they're very common. We even had someone in the comments saying they thought Bybit stole from them. The way these scams work is they try to give you a convincing looking website, and sometimes they impersonate trusted companies in our space like Bybit or like Trust Wallet. They may rely on fake accounts that impersonate influencers you follow and trust. One I see commonly on TikTok, where a lot of our friends live, is Coach JV. But you might see somebody who has my face or Alex's face or Will's face, and they will approach you in a comment or a direct message appealing to fear or greed to try and get you to a website to click a bad link to reveal some personal information that will allow them to take your money. Don't ever give anybody, anywhere, who direct messages you unsolicited the time of day. And especially don't give them your secret 12 or 24 word seed phrase. No one, not even Coinbase's real support, is going to ask you for that. You guys have anything to add?
Yeah, you can trust them if they're wearing a dolphin costume, though, that looks like a blue banana, in which case, like, just totally send your money to that guy because, like, totally trust bananas and dolphins giving you financial advice on the internet.
No.
All I got to say. No, Will. There's like a shock thing on my chest. Like, ah.
Anything to add, Alex, to keep the people safe?
No, that was good. I mean, it's just assume everything is a scam. Skepticism is your best friend.
Yep. Yeah, it's your best friend. Will, I saw you make a face, which tells me you might have a story for us, but I want to remind our friends that we're about to come to that point where we are going to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset and say goodbye to the show for the day. If you've got a question, a suggestion, a prediction, or you just want to share what you think about Will's blue banana suit, then let us know. The 8 Ball says, sell the news. Will, what had you smirking over there?
I'm not sure, but it could have just been me looking at Ethereum's chart and being like,
what's got you so bullish on Ethereum?
Well, I just have a long signal printing on the weekly time frame. So, weekly time frame is far more quick little lesson, everybody.
Give it to us.
Longer term time frames are far more important when looking at a chart than anything. The monthly time frame is far more important than the weekly, which is far more important than the daily, which is far more important than any of the hourly charts that you could possibly be looking at. So what does that mean? It means that if you see a trend that's bullish or bearish forming on the monthly or daily or weekly time frame, then that has a far more impactful what's the word I'm looking for, influence on what's going to happen on shorter term time frames. So I'm getting a long signal on an indicator that for the most part is very, very, very accurate on Ethereum's chart, and it printed on the weekly time frame for a long, which is like, hey, it's a good time to be buying ETH right now, apparently. So we'll see how this holds up. It's not perfect, but it's printing on the weekly time frame, which means that, hey, I'm seeing us being oversold on the daily. And while I don't see any confirmation that we hit a bottom yet, because we're seeing some bullish setups on the weekly time frame, that means that it could bleed over to the daily time frame, and you start to see that bullish confirmation we're looking for. So, it's exciting. It's an opportunity that, hey, like maybe we're still looking to like kind of keep ripping. And some things, if you're looking from a macro standpoint, that are both bullish and bearish. Bullish is there's about it's an 86% chance that we get rate cuts in September. You can look at that at the CME Fed Watch, which is the official, like, actual market analysts in the traditional financial world, like not a gambling website or just people on Twitter saying, hey, these are the odds of us getting rate cuts. Bearish. How dare you throw actual reasonable data for us to look at from
Let me gamble, damn it.
Actual professionals. And so, us getting a rate cut in September, I think that's the overall large macro influence for us for the next month and a half or so to drive the market higher. The buy the rumor and sell the news of the rate cut, I think will totally happen. And we're seeing things oversold right now. So that's exciting. the thing that could shake things up in the near term is Trump gave Putin a deadline to find a peace deal or come to them with a serious peace deal by the end of this week, August 8th. And if not, they're going to get hit with sanctions. Now, there's not really any more sanctions we can really hit Russia with, but we can tariff the crap out of people who buy Russian oil. And honestly, I think we should totally do this. Because the biggest pain point you can hit Russia with to make them stop fighting in Ukraine is hit them where it hurts, which is where their dollar is, which is their energy sector. But the three biggest buyers of oil today are China, India, and then Turkey in a distant third. And, we have very sensitive trade negotiations with China. We're close to a deal with India, but this is the last sticking point, it seems. Turkey is, not really, not insignificant. They're the 16th largest trading partner with the US, but still, not like hugely important that's going to shake financial markets. But, we could have like a massive tariff threatened against China and India, which could shake up the markets in the short term. That could send things a little bit bearishly, but I think something that's far more important than that is rate cuts coming in September. So those are just like two macro things to just be aware of that's going to potentially affect the markets. And also this week, there are a ton of earnings reports. I don't remember who, but there's a ton of companies releasing earnings reports this week. So that'll also be an influence on the market in the short term.
And presumably, people can get that update in full detail on Market Watch tonight. Yeah,
you totally can. Market Watch tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Come on in, guys.
Wherever you're watching the show, you can catch Rise Up Market Watch. It's going to be a great time. I learned something every time I tune in, and I am glad to see you guys back because you were off last week. So it'll be really nice.
Yeah, we were off for 2 weeks because then we had our break, and that's right. We were the only show from the Rise Up that week. Yeah,
you were. You rose right up. We've got a question here from ACC who says, do you think buying Bitcoin sidechain or layer 2 tokens is a good investment? And for that, I would say, I don't really know. I think it would depend on the kind of mind share they get, but we had an interesting conversation with Dennis Porter last week on Rise Up After Dark. If you don't know, he's a co-founder of Satoshi Action Fund, a huge advocate for Bitcoin policy, and a big reason that a lot of the states who've adopted policy or are about to consider adopting policy that safeguards custody or enacts other Bitcoin-related laws in the United States are doing so. He was talking to us about some of the rifts inside the Bitcoin community, and I personally haven't seen enough movement that is meaningful from these L2s, the side chains, as like serious pieces of infrastructure that are adopted by the core Bitcoin community. Bitcoin's a free protocol. Anybody can build anything there, but the validators have a lot of power. The miners have a lot of power. The node operators have a lot of power. And the core developers have a lot of power and seem to be sort of against those things. They're novel, they're interesting, but Dennis unpacked it a lot. He talked about how the creator of ordinals is sort of leading a push against further development on Bitcoin right now. But I definitely think it's the kind of thing that if there is mind share, price could go up. You guys have any thoughts?
I just feel like layer 2s on Bitcoin are just really not that particularly exciting because what do you need it for, right? Because here's the thing. You could use it for like, we could have like faster transactions and stuff.
Lightning.
Like, yeah. But the thing is like, that's not the value proposition that makes Bitcoin valuable, right? What makes Bitcoin valuable is it is a means for you to escape the matrix, right? You can get out of the traditional financial system. You can invest in an asset that isn't tied to a particular nation state, that isn't tied to a particular financial market, that isn't tied to a particular central bank, right? It's affected by all these things, but it's not tied to the hip of them, right? It's a very, very unique asset in that sense, and it's very, very decentralized, and it's very, very, very scarce to be a new gold. Those are the things that like really matter. And if you want to do transactions, if you want to build DeFi, if you want to build Web3 gaming, if you want to decentralize insurance, if you want to pick your Web3 use case, you have a million better places to do it that are faster and cheaper, like Ethereum or Solana or Sui or Say or hell, Algorand, HBAR. All these places are better places for developers to go and build these kinds of solutions. So I say all that to mention that like making Bitcoin faster and cheaper isn't necessarily something that I think is going to get a lot of attention in the market. I don't think there's like a really strong need or desire for it. And so I look at it as like not a real big investing opportunity. If Bitcoin gets faster and cheaper, hey, cool, great, wonderful. That's nice. But it's not like a big investing opportunity, in my opinion.
I agree with you completely. But what I think is that I have witnessed how compelling the argument is to a broader swath of the market. Like, I hold that opinion, you hold that opinion. I think a lot of the Bitcoin core community holds that opinion. But I believe that many people are compelled by arguments like, well, Bitcoin is the most decentralized network. It's got the most secure network. The block space is the most secure. Therefore, we should be building on top of and settling things to it. I think a lot of people hear that and they think, yeah, the same way a lot of people hear that Ripple is entering a partnership with some bank in Japan to explore the uses of blockchain and saying, this could be the future of the financial system. I think people are convinced by it. I don't necessarily think I am, or that it holds a lot of water.
I agree with the noise Will just made when you said that.
I mean, people being convinced by stuff moves markets all the time. And if you're early ahead of something that people push,
but
the size of the group of people that you just explained that are going to get excited by that are so very small.
I actually think it's bigger than the core group. I think it's bigger than the core group. The same way I think the XRP army is bigger than the people at Ripple writing press releases.
I mean, but more so than whether or not the group of people is large or small. If the thing is inherently nonsense, then it will run out of steam eventually, and you're betting on a losing horse. Of course, it'll run out of steam
eventually, but I think in the short term, I think it will continue to be a narrative.
I mean, that's fine, but it doesn't matter.
Just understand it's going to last less than the last layer 2 Bitcoin wave, which was like, we have Alex Labs, and we have you're not. You're standing on tissue paper that's getting wet.
I agree.
Yeah.
As an investor.
I mean, any case that you can make at this point for, like, there's a good comment just about, like, what about using, Bitcoin to earn yield in DeFi applications? And my response is just like, yeah, well, that exists with wrapping already in many places.
And it's faster and cheaper.
Some brand new L2 is not going to eclipse wrapped Bitcoin on base for DeFi potential. Like, they are
relying on you to believe that they will.
Yeah.
The same way that, like, Blast was hoping that everybody would come use their chain and they'll give you an airdrop.
And
like,
it's
a short-term thing. It's a total short-term thing. It made a lot of people rich, but that's some people's bread and butter.
It didn't really, though. It actually really didn't. Like, Blast in particular is...
Blast made a lot. Blast issued 5-figure airdrops. I think some people got 6 figures from Blast, dude. Like, I'm not saying
like
that
8 people on Twitter.
But it is a viable strategy that some people seem to do particularly well with.
Honestly, 8 people on Twitter getting rich is pretty good for the crypto space. Usually it's about 5.
Well, that's all that happens.
Usually it's
that's
about
my
5.
point. See, like, that's my.
I agree.
God,
I agree with you, but I'm just saying it is a factor. Whether or not we like it, whether or not we think it's sound, it is definitely, like, there is going to be another company tomorrow that's going to have a pre-sale based on having the fastest, cheapest blockchain that combines Bitcoin and Ethereum. And there are going to be hundreds of thousands of people on social media who ask folks like us about it because they hear it and are persuaded by it. That's what I'm telling you.
Can you imagine if we applied...
literacy is low. And the most effective thing...
That's what it counts on.
That's exactly right. The most effective thing you can do if you want to spot, like, the promising long-term stuff from the crap, I would say, learn what a blockchain is. Spend some time understanding what limitations it has, what problems it can solve, and then learn the history of our space so you can see, like, why, aside from the fact that Bitcoin is a novel tech, it has accumulated network effects that embed its resilience. Stuff like that. Go ahead. I'm ranting now. Somebody stop me.
Can you imagine if we just applied, like, an iota of this brain power to something that mattered? Like, to a network that was doing something, anything, instead of just, like, bloviating about nothing.
Nah, it's not fun.
No, it's not fun. It's not in our nature.
Now, let me say to be clear, it's not that I don't think Bitcoin L2s is, like, a bad idea. I don't believe in bad ideas. And I don't think Bitcoin L2s are a bad idea, but I think when you're dealing with what?
What do you mean you don't believe in bad ideas?
I can think of at least one from World War II.
Yeah, I could name several bad ideas.
I just need to say, when something exists only as a thought in your head, if you're at the stage of collaborating with yourself and others, then there is potential for every idea, even a very bad one, to be fruitful, to lead to growth if you are open to what it has to teach.
Listen, I love that about you, but, like, it's an idea that I put my car in neutral and push it to work today to save gas.
I mean,
that's a bad idea.
Every great author was once illiterate.
Yeah, when they were 2.
Exactly. And we have an opportunity to either shame them for their illiteracy or
listen, first of all, I'm a big fan of shaming 2-year-olds for their illiteracy.
I always shame babies. That's how you make them big and strong.
You're not going to win this one, Evan. Every single person watching this right now could name at least one awful idea.
One really, really bad idea.
I'm going to test how hot my frying pan is for breakfast with my tongue.
I would say that's
bad idea. That's the phrase you're looking for. That's a bad idea.
Bad idea.
Can do this all day, buddy. It's a terrible idea.
Listen.
I'm going to move my coffee table by kicking it with my pinky toe.
Tori said it better than I could. She said, I don't think shame is a good teacher. And I would be inclined.
Disagree. Shame is totally fine, and it works in the right setting. There should be more shame. Our society needs more shame. Public shame, like in public, not on the internet, in public. Someone does something dumb, you should go up to their face and shame them for it.
Nuance is important.
Shame. Okay. Like they do in Japan.
Nuance is important. If Will suddenly suggests something like temperature testing a lit frying pan with his tongue versus a 2-year-old, it demonstrates to me that they can't read. I don't treat both of those the same way. Okay. Like it's important to remember here that where did we go? How did we get to this point? There are some bad ideas.
Bitcoin layer 2s and whether or not they're a good idea. This is my question to you, Alex. Is it more important for you to be right or for you to be helpful?
It's more important for me to be helpful, but that doesn't change the fact that some ideas are just bad.
I agree, but sometimes being right and being helpful are mutually exclusive.
Listen, we can get into a philosophical debate about the subjectivity of the word bad, but I don't think that's what you meant. I think that you were trying to issue a platitude, and I just think it was a little too vague.
Guys, the correct answer is you smack both the child and Will on the nose with a rolled up newspaper. Bam, bam.
Okay.
That's the thing. If I agree with what Tori said, shame's not a good teacher. Okay, for sure. But like in the instance where someone does something and they make a mistake and you correct it, sure. If you correct that one with like shame and whatever for the first time someone made a mistake, then yeah, you're a dick. But if someone makes the same mistake 28,000 times in a row after being told and demonstrated like, hey, this is, at what point do you change your tactic? How does Einstein define insanity? Like at what point am I allowed to stop being insane and say like, hey, this is stupid?
I'm not advocating against like changing your, I'm saying that in a world where Bitcoin is slow and expensive, that is a feature and it's helpful, but that there is also room to consider, maybe like Jack Mallers does, how Bitcoin could be more effective as a very secure, very resilient to change form of value if it could be faster and cheaper. Like you said, Lightning Network, I think, is a good idea. I'm not saying it is the idea, but I think if it takes 28 whacks at a table to get something like Lightning to scale, then I'm willing to take those, or 28,000, whatever you said. I'm not advocating anybody stick their tongue in the frying pan. I'm saying we should encourage an environment of innovation and then talk about what is likely and figure out the best ideas to back with our efforts and our tongues.
Yes, but that's very different from saying there's no such thing as a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that wasn't my finest moment.
We've walked ourselves to agreeing with Alex. And,
without Evan ever saying that he agrees with you to admit defeat.
Evan, your heart's in the right place, and I know what you meant. But there's a few things that you and I disagree on, and this is one of them.
And I'm okay with that. And Amso says, but it does sound fun, Evan. We've got a lot of really good comments that I will read on our way out the door. Prepare your final thoughts. Tech CEO says, building and innovation will create a lot of ideas, good and bad. I want to shout out Jessica, who said, you can explain why the idea is bad and work on making it better. And Solano says, you smack both the child and Will on the nose with a rolled up newspaper.
But see, again, I just want to reiterate that, yes, when an initially bad idea is presented, you don't have to be a dick about it. I'm saying in like some ideas are just, I can't make this any clearer. Some ideas are just bad. That's not to say that you have to be an asshole to whoever made the bad idea, but like it's still okay to tell someone like, hey, that's a bad idea. And then sure, explain why. That's helpful. But at the end of the day, the bad idea was still bad.
You're a loser.
Perfect.
I couldn't help
Nailed
myself. Will, have you got a final thought for us on the way out the door?
The only final thought I have is that U.S. manufacturing has shrunk again. This represents U.S. manufacturing industry in total having shrunk 31 out of the last 33 months.
It checks out.
And that checks out. The only thing that was really keeping U.S. manufacturing afloat was our continuous stimulus, military stimulus into Ukraine. Because like you give Ukraine money and then they spend it on weapons. Who do they buy those weapons from? The U.S. Massive demand from the defense sector to produce those. That was like the only thing really keeping it afloat. And we're doing that again, but it's not quite as much. It basically like I viewed us giving money to Ukraine as indirect stimulus of our manufacturing sector. But even with that, like we were still shrinking our manufacturing industry.
It's like giving your kid allowance and only letting them spend it in your company store.
Yeah, except it's like giving them allowance and like they can only spend like 80% of it in your store, right? They get the other 20% to go spend with, the other NATO members. But, that was kind of how that worked. But no, so manufacturing in the US is still shrinking, which is, interesting because, the dollar is being devalued. So we'll see how that changes because the US manufacturing should expand if demand for US products is going to increase. But we're at the very beginning of this whole, trade war scenario and dollar devaluation. So we'll see how this goes over the next year and a half or so, 2 years. That's all I got.
Beautiful. Alex, what about you?
I think I should be done for the day.
Correct. Evan, what about you?
I would just remind you that our new community is launching tomorrow to the public. And today, if you are already in the Discord server, if you're already a premium member, you're going to get the link to migrate your service over to Circle. I'm going to finish a tutorial video that will be waiting there for you. We'll post it here. And tomorrow on the show, we will walk you through the platform and welcome everybody to our community's forever home. I think it's going to be an awesome place for us to learn and grow together. Don't forget to check out the Rise Up Market Watch tonight, 8 to 10 or maybe 9 or maybe 9:15 Eastern. It just depends on how frisky they get with Doug and Will everywhere you watch us. And then check out all the other resources, theriseupmorningshow.com too. Now porting over, probably by the time you hear this, to rumshq.com. That'll be the other big announcement. If the links don't work, don't fret, don't sweat. We're trying to align our brand, make it easier to remember for everybody in all places. You can catch us, if nowhere else, right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place for the Rise Up Morning Show. My friends, thank you for being the very best part of what we do. Until then, everybody, stay safe, be well, rise up.